Welcome to Opening the Door, Opportunities for U.S. Immigration with attorney Nadine Heights.
Hello and welcome to episode number 3 of Opening the Door, Opportunities for U.S. Immigration. I'm Nadine Heights and I'm an immigration lawyer here in South Florida. And today I want to talk about something that is fairly new. It's called TPS for Venezuelans, just recently designated by President Biden, effective March the 9th, 2021, and going until September the 9th, 2022. So for those of you that maybe are not familiar with what TPS is, it is an immigration status that is something that the president can designate for foreign nationals that are here in the United States already during the time that there is some type of catastrophic thing happening in their country of origin that would prevent them from returning safely. So things like war or famine or some type of epidemic or natural disaster unique to that country. So for example, you may remember the earthquake in Haiti that happened on January 12th, 2010. It was devastating. I'm very familiar with this because a lot of my clients here in South Florida are Haitian. There were, I think, about 3 million people affected. There were like 250,000 that died, another 350,000 people hurt. And about 1.5 million people were forced to live in really bad camps because they lost their housing. It was just devastating. So what the United States government did at that time, and have done for many other countries in the past, is they designated this status called TPS. And TPS stands for Temporary Protected Status. So it's something that allows a person who is from that country who doesn't already have a legal status. So, this is not for somebody who's already got a green card or for somebody who's already a U.S. citizen, obviously. It allows a person who doesn't have a legal means to be here to now be able to actually get a work permit so they can legally work here, and it protects them from being deported. So it's a really good thing, and it is usually designated for an 18-month period. In the past, we've seen this done for countries like Honduras back in 1999 because of their environmental disaster at the time. El Salvador in 2001, again, an environmental disaster. Some other big ones, Nepal, they also had an earthquake back in 2015, Yemen, Somalia, Syria was a big one because of the armed conflict and, the temporary and extraordinary conditions that were there. That was granted in 2012. And of course, as I mentioned, Haiti, one that was designated back in 2010. So what is going on with Venezuela? Well, Venezuela is going through some pretty rough times, and I'm sure you've seen this on the news. There are many, many displaced Venezuelans. About 5 million people have left Venezuela, and they have fled to whatever countries they possibly can go to. That's about 18% of Venezuela's population. So think of that. That's a huge number. And they've been fleeing because of a humanitarian crisis. There's been, widespread hunger and malnutrition and, armed groups taking over and a completely crumbled infrastructure. So TPS is something that can really help the people that are here now to be able to earn a living, work legally, be protected from being deported back to their country, and hopefully send money back to any family that are there and eventually try to rebuild their lives there. So how many people are we looking at that this could positively affect in the United States? Well, estimates are that this could benefit maybe up to 323,000 people that are Venezuelan nationals in the United States now. So that's by far our biggest number ever designated for TPS. The next biggest one was El Salvador, which was back in 2001 with about 195,000. So there's a lot of people that are going to benefit from this. And what do these people have to do? Well, if a Venezuelan was here present on U.S. soil on the date that this became effective, which was March the 9th, 2021 is when it started. If they were already here, then they can possibly qualify to apply for TPS and a work permit and even a travel permit. So why do I say possibly? Because it's not as easy as it may sound. Oh yeah, just register, just apply, fill out your work permit, fill out your form, pay your filing fee, and you're good to go. There are going to be many complex issues that are going to arise for some of these people. Not all, but some. And the reason for that is, first of all, what if one of these Venezuelans happens to have an arrest record? What if they committed a misdemeanor here? What if they committed a felony here? This is something that they really need to seek a qualified immigration attorney to help them with, because this could be a problem. And it might not be a problem. If it's just a misdemeanor, it might not be a problem, but we would need to look at exactly what happened, what the outcome was of their previous case. Because of course, certain types of arrests are going to disqualify you for this type of status. The other big issue, and this is particularly going to affect a lot of Venezuelans, is whether they maybe have a passport from another country. So in the past, some of these other countries that got TPS status, think of Haiti, where not that many Haitians had dual nationalities with other countries. Haiti was a significantly poor country for so long. Most of the people in Haiti didn't have the luxury of traveling to other countries, getting citizenship in other countries. So the Haitians that were here and who got TPS, most of them were just directly from Haiti when they came here, and that issue didn't really come up. The same could be said for countries like El Salvador and Honduras. But with Venezuela, we're going to see a lot of them that may have dual nationalities for countries like, Italy or Colombia, they've been fleeing for a while now. And not only that, but, the country itself was in a much better situation in the past. So there are going to be people that are here from Venezuela that may have entered on a different passport. So what does that mean? Well, TPS, to qualify for TPS, just because you are a Venezuelan and you have another nationality, meaning you are actually a citizen of Venezuela and a citizen of another country, that doesn't necessarily disqualify you right off the bat. But here's what could disqualify you. If, let's say, you came here from Venezuela and you had just lived in Spain, okay? Let's say you were a Spanish citizen. You were originally born in Venezuela. Maybe your family went to Spain at some point. Maybe you lived in Spain for 5 years and then you came to the United States before the TPS designation of March 9th, 2021. And so now you want to apply for TPS. Well, again, you should seek the advice of a qualified immigration attorney, because we're going to have to really closely examine your history in Spain, your history in Venezuela. Can we prove that your ties to Venezuela are significant? that it would mean that, you're allowed to get this TPS designation because you cannot safely return to Venezuela. Because if you can safely return to Spain, then why should the U.S. government give you TPS here, right? That's the way they're going to look at it. So when you submit your application to USCIS and you're in a situation like that, we're going to have to, my job is to help you come up with the supporting evidence to prove that perhaps you don't have really any family ties at this point in Spain. Maybe all your family are now in Venezuela. But again, if you did live in Spain for 5 years and then came here and, you do have family in Spain, you have ties there, it's going to be a tough sell. So I'm not saying it's impossible, and it remains to be seen how USCIS will interpret these types of situations, because this is new. We don't have any history of these types of adjudications yet. So it's going to take a bit of time, but I would highly recommend that you do seek qualified advice from an immigration attorney to get your application in as soon as possible. And there is a deadline. This registration period only lasts for 180 days from the date of designation. So the magic date that it ends, what I mean is the actual registration ends, not the TPS designation. The registration ends on September 5th, 2021. So you've got to get your application in before that time. So now is definitely the time to look at this and get your application in. One other quick thing, you may be a little confused on something else that was granted to Venezuelans called DED, or Deferred Enforced Departure. And DED is something a little bit different. It was actually granted by President Trump on January 19th, 2021. But DED alone doesn't give you as much as TPS does. So for DED, it's really just a protection from deportation, and you can get a work permit, but there was just no clear direction, even from USCIS at that time, on even how to apply for DED. So it also doesn't get you the ability to travel, and it's not quite as secure, meaning that the TPS designation is much better because it is going to last for sure for 18 months. And depending on the situation with Venezuela, a year or a year and a half from now, it can be renewed by the U.S. government. So most of these other TPS designations for some of the other countries I've mentioned have been renewed. For example, Haiti was recently renewed. At some point, we believe that the U.S. government will look at some more permanent avenues for these TPS applicants to remain in the United States. Because certainly after being here for many, many years under TPS status, some of these people have been able to successfully get a green card or even become U.S. citizens, but not because just for the TPS designation alone. They may qualify through a family member sponsoring them. So it's difficult when certain people with TPS status don't have a petitioner that can qualify to get them a green card. They are really just stuck here with their work permit, and that's about all they can do. So definitely find out from an immigration attorney. I'd love to speak with you. Give me a call. I am Nadine Heights. You can call me 561-290-0101. You can book a consultation with me online at heightsimmigrationlaw.com. So check us out. If you need to register for TPS, please give us a call. If you know any people that are from Venezuela that you think this would benefit, please share this podcast episode with them. And we'll be talking again soon. I look forward to the next episode.
Thanks for listening. For more information, go to heightsimmigrationlaw.com.